Pastor Oakman here for the First United Methodist Church. Offer an invocation to those who would like to participate may do so. Those that don't can decline.
Bow your heads if you desire. Gracious God, we thank you for this day, the blessings of sunshine and the blessings of being a part of this community. We thank you that as we continue to move after a full day of elections, that we work together to bless this community, to bless this council and this county. Be with each and every one here. Give them discernment and wisdom in the decision-making process. Be with all those that are in the chairs that are here to support, encourage, and do business as well. We ask your presence be here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Please remain standing and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll call this meeting to order. If you have cell phones and electronic devices, please set them to silent or vibrate. Let me double check my stuff here. Okay. Has everybody had an opportunity to, the minutes were emailed out. Has everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes from October 2nd and October 16th, our special meeting? And if so, are there any additions or corrections that need to be made?
Mr. President, I propose that we accept the minutes as written.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes from our October 2nd and October 16th meetings, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. 7 down for signatures. Is there any mail that anybody has received that they would like to share with the rest of the council? I think I've yet to hear a yes on that one. County Attorney, do we have anything? Do you have anything for us?
No.
I'm pretty sure with the election stuff going on, we've not had any committee meetings. I know we have nothing on the finance side. Holly, any committee reports? Okay, Dan? He needs to get out of here.
Good evening, County Council. Just a very short report. It's basically a mirror image of what I said this morning at the Commissioners meeting. First of all, I'd like to congratulate those that won seats on the County Council, and also congratulations to Mr. Dale Strong and his winning a Commissioner seat. I look forward to working with you and the new council members in the upcoming year. The work of attraction is continuing. We've got some activity beyond what we've already scored this year. I can't disclose the company and any real details, but I would be certainly willing to discuss it with each of the county council members in private at another time. Beyond that, I'd like to mention that I don't know if it was the last commissioner meeting or the one before last, where we discussed the urban enterprise zone. And because of that discussion and because of the newspaper coverage of kind of some questions and answers that came about in that meeting, we've had a lot of activity, phone calls, inquiries, some forms for facade grants, and some other requests for benefits that come to those who have businesses in the zone or who live in the zone. In fact, if you live and work in the zone, you get a little break on your income tax. So it's a pretty good deal that we have going on. In fact, I use it as an incentive in trying to attract businesses to Connersville because sometimes it's really better than an abatement. So beyond those items that I discussed in the commission meeting, I really don't have anything other than that to bring forward unless the council will have any questions for me. Hearing none, I will bid you a good night. I have another meeting to go to, so if you'll excuse me, I'll depart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me go back to our attorney, I guess she does have something?
I apologize. I just wanted the council to know that we are finalizing and closing on the sale of the Dollar General store to the county tomorrow at 3. So all the paperwork's online and we're getting it signed tomorrow. So I just wanted the council to know.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners representative? Mr. Naylor?
For those of you that don't already know, Richard Korm submitted his resignation as highway director. And the commissioners have asked Jay Hadlin to step in as interim superintendent or highway director till we can advertise and interview for a new permanent replacement for that position. And at the same time, at this time, we felt that it was time to maybe readdress that position as we are losing our engineer at the end of the year, our licensed engineer with Warren. We wanted to entertain the idea of possibly trying to advertise for a director/engineer for that position. And but the problem that I've kind of come up with and seen, even with the monies that the state gives us for the engineer of $20,000, that salary, starting salary down there at the highway garage, if we'd add that 20 on, we still don't feel like we'll be able to entice any engineers to come our way. So I wanted to address that and with the council and at least open up the dialogue tonight to discuss some ideas. We're probably looking at the need of that salary being in the $45,000 range to 50 in that neighborhood, with 20 on top of that, the 20 from the state that we'll get to entice a licensed engineer. So to do both jobs, basically. I didn't know whether the council would entertain that conversation. Whether I guess what I wanted to do, I wanted to discuss money before we ever advertised, so that we knew what we were advertising for.
I think the idea is sound.
I'm sorry.
I think the idea is sound. You can't always depend on your elected official having the certifications that you need, okay?
Right.
I guess it's just a matter of, we did correct me if I'm wrong, the rest of it, we did a salary study the last time I made the commissioner when we talked about Richard's salary.
Mm-hmm.
And we looked at the salary from some of the surrounding counties or counties our size, and we were under. So
I'd look tonight, and just an engineer in counties our size is in the range of I think it was like 56 to 80,000. And that's just doing the duties of an engineer. That's not a dual purpose. So I'm hoping that we could entice for somebody in that $65,000 to $70,000 range that we could entice either a young engineer, fairly new out of school, or a semi-retired engineer that would be willing to do both jobs for that one salary. Whether we can or not, I don't know. We really won't know until we advertise for applications.
The only concerning part to me is the young engineer coming out of school has typically no experience.
Exactly.
And in the firms that I've worked in, when new engineers come in like that, they're not working on big projects. They're working underneath somebody, so that any mistakes that they may make will be caught right away and corrected right away. So I think it's important for you to explain to the taxpayers what is the advantage of, we're getting $20,000 to give it to somebody, so it's kind of coming in our hands and going back out the door in the form of pay. So explain to the taxpayers how that's going to benefit us as a community, as a county, that having an engineer on staff.
I think
you see what I mean?
number one, it gives us a better educated director of operations in road construction and maintenance. It gives us the capabilities of doing a lot of our bridge work in-house as far as signing off on projects and whatnot.
Which saves us money.
Which saves us hiring
Outside firm.
outside firms. Our federal projects, we still have to have, we'll still have to have a architect or an engineering firm to design and draw up those bridges. But a lot of our local or small local funded projects, we could save from having to have an outside. Warren, in the past, he has done all of the requests for bids for community crossing grant money and our paving, whereas the city has hired a engineering firm that's cost them several $1,000s every year to set up those specs and for that bidding process. So that's saved us his salary, basically. Just that one project has paid for his salary, the savings of that engineer. So there is some savings there, and we can do some things in-house, I think, that maybe we would have to hire outside firms for. That person could then in turn manage our bridge inventory and our small structure inventory. And in the past, that has been either Jerry or Warren. And we've paid both of them extra money to do that. So I just felt that with the new surveyor coming on and it might be a good time to think about going this direction rather than just a strictly highway director. And I just think we're at the place where we're starting to improve our infrastructure quite a bit with our community crossing grant money. I'd like to continue that. And I really think it's time that we need to start looking at trying to get some more educated people into that directorship in order to maintain those roads, make sure we maintain those roads that are being paved. So I just don't know whether, didn't know whether the council would be remotely interested in
I think
looking
interesting.
at
I think
that.
you just have to, us, have to demonstrate to the taxpayers that this makes financial sense. If we're only saving $15,000 or $10,000, it's probably not worth it. Because we'd be better off just using that 20 that we would have paid in salary to pay for the outside consultant.
Mhm.
If we're saving $20,000 at $1, we're still $1 ahead.
we're a dollar ahead because,
And I'm pretty sure that it might be helpful to say, here's what it was when we didn't have Warren, on staff. We spent X amount of dollars to these firms, and this is what it cost us. It cost us $40,000. It cost us $35,250. You know what I'm saying? I'm not against it. I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm just trying to, I guess, plead our case to the public as to why.
and
it would
you'll
make
know
sense.
better, you and Frank would know better before Warren come on than I would, because Warren was here when I was elected and took
Mhm.
office. So I don't know what you were spending with maybe Butler Fairman that when Warren come aboard, you no longer spent that.
Do you know ballpark, Frank, what that was?
No, honestly, I don't.
Okay. It's something we can probably look up at. I mean, it doesn't have to be right now.
No, I just wanted to start the thought process and the dialogue, and hopefully we can do something officially. We'll be ready for advertising and everything by the council meeting next month,
And my question is, like, I feel bad that I don't have the salary book in front of me to know, like, how much more that would be, and do we even have that in our budget? I mean, obviously it makes sense, but,
It's, we get the money from the state, the 20,000 extra.
but you're saying in addition to the 20, there would also need to be a raise to the current salary, correct?
yeah.
And
Which
so-
is,
In-
talking about what,
in
you're talking
the-
about 5?
In the $5,000 to $5,000 range or so,
Right, and so I'm just saying that we have that
$5,000 to $8,000.
to $8,000 in the budget to even offer, if we could, and can we, since the budget is already set?
Right.
Are we allowed to do it? And I think that was your question, really. I mean, in a way,
Well, we would have to have permission to
yeah.
change the beginning salary. Or, no, you would
Have a
officially
salary.
change the beginning salary for the highways director. And you can do that with 5 votes.
Well, we haven't approved the ordinance, the salary ordinance yet, but.
But,
This is gonna be pretty darn quick though.
That'll be the last special meeting, won't it, Jane?
That window closes, right?
Thank you.
But while we're on the highway subject, we received word today, our community crossing grant application, we did not receive any funds for the January draw, but we'll be able to reapply for the July. They're now doing it in 2 different draws. I guess they told us absolutely nothing wrong with our application, everything was in line. It was just that they had so many new applicants this year, they wanted to spread more money around. So they said definitely reapply for the July draft, and most likely we would be successful in the July. So we can still get, that'll still give us time to get construction late in the summer, early fall for next year. So we may still see a paving project for next year yet. So let's keep our fingers crossed and call all our state representatives to keep them abreast of our needs. Because I think that does help. I think Gene and Cindy has a lot of influence there. So, but anyway, any other questions on Director,
I do,
the idea?
not the director. Did you have a question, Dale?
No, I was just gonna urge Gary to, when you advertise for a highway director, by all means, get an engineer if you can, and then if you find someone that's interested, see what we can do about negotiating a salary for them,
Well, and there again, I sometimes that's time sensitive, so that's why I thought maybe we'd get some money lined up first and then advertise so we knew what we had there to offer them.
I think it's easier to go, to do what Gary's saying, to find somebody if you already know what price range, what range you're looking at, rather than.
You know, if the council
Give
says,
some-
hey, 40,000 plus the 20 if it's an engineer, 40,000 if it's not an engineer, or whatever, then we've got something to,
To work with.
once we are advertised and once we start interviewing. I know that was one thing that maybe plagued the last interviewing when Richard was hired was, you know, the starting salary was way lower than what you ended up paying Richard in the beginning, interviews, and a lot of people turned the commissioners down, I think, because they wasn't gonna work for that money. So the commissioners re-advertised after they got the council to increase that beginning salary. Am I correct, Frank?
Yes, I recall, yes.
Yeah.
That was the way it worked.
So I thought maybe this time we'd try to work it the other way, the other direction maybe. So we wouldn't have to go through two different advertisings and two different interviewing processes or whatever. So, so food for thought, you know, and we can look into it and see if we can come up with the actual dollar savings that maybe we didn't pay Butler after Warren come on board. Jane, Warren holds a title that with federal bridge projects that allows us to, do you know what those initials are? Or?
No, off the top of my head, I can ask my email.
Because we'll have to name someone, won't we? In order to be more or less our spokesperson. Frank, do you recall what that title is?
Coordinator is what sounds to me, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, so come the first of the year, we'll have to make sure we get all that paperwork done so that we can continue our bridge projects, federal aid projects. Because we do have one in the trough right now, and that's Bridge 90. Bridge 25 has been officially opened, and the ribbon cutting was this afternoon. I want to thank all the council and the past commissioners that was involved with it. It's a very beautiful bridge. I mean, is it worth the extra money we had to spend because it was historical? I don't know. I guess that's a matter of personal opinion, but it is a beautiful bridge. The contractors did a beautiful job. That if you drive down through there, if it wasn't for the new concrete look and the new pavement look, you'd never know there was a construction project there.
They actually opened it, what, a week before the deadline?
Yeah. Our contractor, he did a fantastic, they just did a fantastic job on it, and it's a very beautiful site. There's final inspection is yet to happen on the 19th, and that'll be, they'll create a punch list of anything that needs to be touched up or changed. And once that's done and that punch list is complete, that project will completely be done. But it is finished, and we're glad that it's opened up. But most of harvest is in that area is probably done, but still it'll help for the finishing weeks. Any other
I got two
questions?
things for you.
Okay.
The 3 trucks that we've purchased from the dealership, where does that stand? I've heard that,
The last time I talked to the salesman, and I talked to him direct, it may have been 2 weeks ago, Mike. I finally, I was getting different stories, so I thought, well, I'm just gonna call the dealership myself and find out what's going on. It was my understanding the trucks were sitting on the lot, and that's where Richard went and looked at them. But as it turned out, Noblesville still has them. the city of Noblesville still has them, and they're not releasing them until their new trucks come in. Their new trucks are not here yet. 2 weeks ago, they had 3 of Noblesville's new trucks, no, 4 of them, in the fab shop at that time, and he was expecting them to go out the door soon. And he promised me that as soon as those first 4 went out, he was gonna try his best to get 4 released from Noblesville City so that we could get ours. And I said, well, we're in a hurry ourselves because we wanna get prepared for winter and snow removal. And he said, I understand. Now I'm gonna touch base with him tomorrow again, try to touch base with him tomorrow afternoon to see what the status is and to let him know that Richard is no longer the director and that his point of contacts will be different. But
And we're gonna renegotiate the price?
well,
Because obviously they're continuing to use these trucks, and we looked at them at a certain point with certain mileage, and if I went to a dealership and I said, I wanna buy a used car with 10,000 miles on it, and I come back to pick it up, it's got 20 on it now,
Yeah.
we're having a discussion,
yeah,
or we're not doing the deal. Because I think that, all of us on council were under the impression that these trucks were ready to be picked up. And I think had we known this, there might have been a different,
it may have been a different scenario
Yeah.
if we had known that they wasn't on the lot.
I mean,
And I want to discuss that with him too.
I don't
as
wanna
well.
speak for everybody on the council, but that's my sentiments, that if they can't deliver them relatively soon, so that these guys can get work on these trucks, that we either nix the deal, or we find another, place, because there's no reason why we should be paying the same price for trucks, whether they've added 1,000 miles to them, 2,000 miles, that still depreciates
Right,
the vehicle price.
yeah, I agree.
Anybody else wanna speak to that?
No, I agree. I think that we have to be rational, because obviously it was a fine to find these vehicles, like used and what we needed. But I think we also need to, like, we need to know how many more miles have been added to them and reassess the vehicle before we buy them.
Was there a contract already entered?
I haven't seen any paperwork yet,
Okay.
so,
Yes.
I would think at this point, if there's a contract in it, there's a way out of it, because
Yeah,
this,
there might be a breach of contract.
this,
issue.
this was not made known to us.
right.
And my last thing was, I just wanted to mention that Gary, myself and Jane have been meeting with the city. We met a couple weeks ago. We have another meeting scheduled for Tuesday at 4 PM. And what we're trying to do is work out something with 911, EMS, and see what we can do to kind of balance things out there. But there's really nothing to report at this time. We're gonna meet again Tuesday, and I know that you need to enter into a contract fairly quickly.
I'm sorry.
It's titled,
ERC.
Oh, okay. See
Well,
how
we could
long
have-
my memory is? ERC? Okay,
it's Warren's.
That's what I said.
Warren's title. Huh?
You know what I said?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
I'm sure the C part is coordinator of some sort.
Thank you.
But I just wanted to make you aware that we are talking to the city and trying to figure out something where we can save the county some money and hopefully save the city some money and work together on some common things, because the main focus is, of course, 911, trying to figure out what we're gonna do with that elephant in the room. No offense, Mr. Baker, but we've gotta try and get that healthy somehow, some way, so we're trying to be creative. So, but I wanted to make the council aware that we're having these meetings. Other than that, I don't have anything else for you, Gary.
Okay.
Take up enough of your time. I passed the 6:25 like I promised.
Any other questions for myself or
No, thank you.
commissioners?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have the old business, but there was something that was talked about earlier tonight before the meeting started. We have a meeting on January 2nd. That would be our first official meeting. The courthouse would be open, and we would typically have our meeting, and Councilwoman Dunn may have a conflict that she would be traveling that day, and it's typically kind of a big deal, an important day, because we're making a meeting assignments or committee assignments, voting on the president, the vice president, committee chairs. I will have we'll have a couple of meetings in December, and at that last meeting in December, I wouldn't have a problem if it's legal for Councilwoman Dunn to make her intentions known, what she would like to do and where she would like to serve. And then we could make that official January 2nd. I mean, there shouldn't be a problem with that. We're not voting on it or anything.
Okay. Just, I don't like to miss meetings, period. And so
I know.
I was just weighing out if the schedule was.
We typically have it rescheduled for one person or two people. We know ahead, not to be cold-hearted, but we know ahead when these meetings are, and we try to stick them as much as possible, with the exception of the election, or, I think we did for the fair, didn't we, Dale, do something?
There was discussion about that, but we didn't actually.
We never
do
did,
it.
okay.
No.
My only concern about that, and I will look into it, and certainly Councilwoman Dunn can get with me. And I plan on being on, fingers crossed, being on vacation between Christmas and New Year's. I mean, back for January, so it would just be having her to get with me before then.
I think those,
You know.
all I was suggesting, if it's possible, for her to say, get her the list of committees, and that what she may or may not want to be a part of. I think it's probably the biggest thing. For voting on different things, I don't think that's quite as important as what your desires are, and so forth. So, that would be my suggestion. Now, if anybody else has a different suggestion or a better suggestion, I'm all ears.
Small group tonight.
Anything?
If Holly's not gonna be back by January the 2nd, well, you're not gonna meet on the 1st, are you?
No.
That's holiday. See, so January the 2nd is Wednesday. That's when you will have your meeting. If Holly can't be here, you can go on. She'll let you know what kind of committee work she wants to do. Won't you?
But typically, when you're not here, you get the worst ones.
I know.
That's what you're afraid of, isn't it?
I know, and the other thing is
Can't even
just,
set
in
up
my
to be
defense,
here.
I didn't know that it was I didn't know that we would go to the 2nd, I thought we would go to the 8th, so I didn't even, when I made some plans, I didn't even think, because it was, I thought the hard was always the Tuesday.
Well, we
And with
will-
the first being the
We
holiday.
will have 3 new council members here, so they can get, you can go seniority, and we can give them there's no bad jobs. They're all great. So, that'd be my suggestion, that we don't change the date, we leave the date as is, and that if you need to get with our county attorney to
That's fine.
share head, or if she can just mention it in our last meeting of December.
That would be fine too, or if she feels more comfortable, we could go over it and we could come up with a document to present, a brief document to present on the
I
second,
really
you know,
don't
that's
care
fine.
much. I don't like this. That's what it really boiled down
Well,
to.
I understand where you're coming from, it is the first meeting, and it's typically an important one, so. But we don't want you driving like a wild woman coming back from Florida either, and wrecking, that's not worth it, so. It's more important that you drive safe with your kids and you enjoy your time,
Why, thank you.
so. With that being said, unless there's anything else you want to discuss on that? Okay, we'll move on to transfers, additionals, and reductions. Gary, I should just left you up there and just cover this right away. An additional request for the highway department for unused sick pay. Can't imagine who that's for.
It's not for Richard, he wasn't included in that, it's for
Oh,
union.
I was wrong there.
Yeah. It's union members.
Okay.
It's a total of several different
Okay,
employees.
I just assumed.
Yeah. yeah.
Move to
You know what happens when you assume.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve The additional, request amount of $13,500. Was it seconded?
Ollie seconded
One
it.
second. We have a motion to approve the additional appropriation request for the amount of $13,500. It's been seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving this request, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay. Prosecutor's Office, a transfer request in the amount of $1,000 to pay the invoice for a Surface laptop.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve,
I'll second the motion.
seconded by Councilman Strong. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the transfer request of the amount of $1,000 to pay for a Surface laptop, please do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. 144 from Mr. David Baker.
Good evening. I have, a 144 for a part-time employee.
You lost another one, David? Or-
They come and go.
Oh.
So when we try to get it back up to where we can staff, and it's difficult, and so we're in that phase now where we're having to bump over the hours allowed for many of the part-time employees just to staff, and it's just a ongoing thing. So we try to get another one trained, and hope they stay.
Yeah. You
I'm
hope.
sorry. I was saying I'll make a motion to approve David's 144.
And I'll second that motion.
We have a motion to approve 911's request for 144. It's been seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you.
Michelle's not here? Do we need her here? Or?
You wouldn't have to. She had 2 employees resign, so she this morning presented to commissioners. I don't think she has for sure hires, but she had 2 people, like she was in final phases and would just be approving funding to continue to fund those positions.
So, 144 request for community corrections for Michelle Dudley. If you heard what Jane said.
Move to approve.
Second.
The motion to approve has been seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the 144 approval for community corrections, please do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, lastly, before we get to our patron concerns, I wanted to thank all those that ran for office. It takes a lot of courage and commitment and dedication, time away from their families. The way I look at it, there really are no losers. There's second place finishers because they all benefit, and I think in their hearts they want what's best for the community. They have their vision. Their opponents have their vision. One vision was bought into and one wasn't. That's not a bad thing. There's some young people that ran this past election, and I would encourage them to continue to stay active and involved. Though they run the Democrat side, but I mean, all young people should be interested in try to get involved somehow, some way. To those that want to congratulate them, congratulate Dale. Finally, we get rid of you. I mean, go to the commissioners, and we're going to have a whole new slate here. So, again, just wanted to congratulate everybody on their election, their campaigns and their elections.
And you too, Mike. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Are there any patron concerns?
If I may make a short opportunity here.
Is it an acceptance speech? No.
No, it is not. Hi, my name's John Clark, and I live in Bentonville. This is more or less a community information type thing since Bob's here and the media here. I know everybody on the council, and Jane and everybody in here probably has some connection to a not-for-profit in their community or several that is always seeking funding and may or may not have used the foundation, Fayette County Foundation for grants in the past. The Bentonville Fire Department last Thursday received a grant for $21,300 from them for new turnout gear and tanks. And when Ann was there, she kind of explained how their grants work, and also a great opportunity for the county right now until the end of 2020. Their grants work, basically, they only use grant money, which amounts to 4% of the earnings of any endowment. So our $21,300, they had to have $500,000 worth of money making earnings on it. And one thing she notified us then was right now until December 31st of 2020, the Lilly Endowment is matching donations to foundations. Any donation that is donated to them for unrestricted use only will be matched double by the Lilly Foundation. You put in $50, they're going to get $150. If you put in $500, they're going to get $1,500. If any corporations want to donate $5,000, they're getting $15,000 back, all which money goes back into our community, whether it be the county or the organizations within the city. And I know everybody with their connection here to factories, small businesses, and not-for-profits, you may know somebody or can encourage them next year and in 2020, if they have some money that they want to put it in a good place, and the foundation's a 501(c), so it's tax deductible. It could only come back to help us. Just a little thing that I think would be good to know, because this doesn't last too long, for like that. So I just wanted to get that opportunity and to let everybody know about that. Hopefully we can get some more money for the foundation, which will come back into our community. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you. If there's no other patron concerns, I'll entertain a motion.
One thing, you might announce a reminder to everybody that property taxes, since the 10th falls on a Saturday, that they're due on the 13th, that they'll receive them without, or they'll take them without any penalty against them clear up till the 13th.
So, what Commissioner Naylor was saying was that the property taxes would be normally due on the 10th, but because the 10th falls on a Saturday, that they will accept them on the 13th, and there'll be no penalty for getting them in on the 13th, that would be as though they were turned in on the 10th. Okay. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. A motion to adjourn, seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.